The massive cyclone enough to cover all of France.
On the ground, the storm is whipping wind gusts of up to 150 miles per hour, swamping low-lying villages and driving a towering storm surge well inland.
It's being called Asia's Hurricane Katrina, the biggest storm to hit India in years.
Yeah, the area has seen severe storms in the past, but not this severe.
This could be the biggest storm India has ever seen.
Yeah, the North Indian Ocean has ever seen, and certainly it has already tied for the number 2 spot here. We could even get worse than that.
A lot of Americans are seeing the worst nature has to offer, from a blast of crippling snow in South Dakota to a tornado outbreak in Nebraska and Iowa. All of this as Tropical Storm Karen remains on track to bring potentially flooding rain.
The front brought record rainfall to the region, more than 7 inches in 36 hours, twice the old record set 103 years ago.
That flooding a result of the same storm system that spawned 12 tornadoes this weekend in the Midwest.
Now, Typhoon Wifa, the strongest typhoon Japan has seen in a decade, has battered the northeastern part of that island nation, killing at least 14 people and damaging many homes.
City workers battled rising water levels, the impact of one of the most powerful storms of its kind to hit this country in years.
Waves more than 20 meters high crash down on China's southeast coast. A stark and brutal reminder that Typhoon Faitao is on the way. A top-level red alert has been declared by Chinese authorities. The 23rd typhoon to hit China this year, Faitao is bringing strong winds and heavy rain.
Typhoon Nari raged across Luzon Island in the northern Philippines on Saturday.
Again, speaking to the local people, typhoons do pass over the Philippines very often. But the locals we spoke to today were saying this was a very scary event, the worst typhoon they've seen.
Heavy flooding in Oaxaca as Tropical Storm Manuel and Hurricane Ingrid lash Mexico, killing at least 17. In Veracruz State, streets have turned to rivers.
Officials are calling the storm as one of the worst natural disasters in Mexico's history.
We want to start with a look at a big storm that's on track to hammer parts of Asia. Forecasters say that Super Typhoon Usagi is the strongest storm that's been recorded on the planet so far this year.
With winds of up to 127 miles per hour, this is one of the strongest typhoons to hit the Western Pacific this year and is set to move further across China towards Hong Kong.
It's been a very eventful few days with the typhoon in China and the one that's approaching now, Typhoon Danas. It's approaching the south of the Korean Peninsula.
We begin this evening with Korea's first tropical storm in October in 15 years.
And we've only had 4 October typhoons since 1950. Now, Typhoon Danas has been sweeping Jeju and the region in the southern coast.
Typhoon Francisco brought heavy rain and high winds to parts of Japan. People were being evacuated from the island about 120 kilometers from Tokyo, which was hit by a deadly storm last week, leaving 30 people dead. Another typhoon called Likima is also forming in the Western Pacific.
But we're going to turn now to what's being called biblical flooding across Colorado. Residents said they've never seen anything like it. The image is just shocking.
Stranded and submerged. The Colorado landscape washing away as rescuers race to those trapped by rising waters.
It's like the ocean out here.
This morning, Boulder County, Colorado is underwater. Torrential rains causing flash flooding overnight. At least 2 people have died from flooding from Boulder County all the way to Colorado Springs.
And they've got some issues with dams out there.
That's right. One dam is broken. 3 others are in danger of breaking.
In some areas, entire homes collapsed. The roads dangerous, if not impassable, with mud and rock slides across the county. Major thoroughfare US 36 shut down. Officials are ordering mandatory evacuation at the University of Colorado at Boulder. Floods are gushing over structures, completely surrounding college students with raging waters.
Water's up to my heels. It's not even, this is serious right now.
The early casualty estimates out of typhoon-stricken central Philippines are beyond staggering in the wake of one of the most powerful typhoons in recorded history.
These satellite photos show the immense storm, the strongest ever to hit land.
Wind gusts reached 175 miles per hour. Storm surges as high as trees laid waste to towns and villages.
Super Typhoon Haiyan raced across the Philippine Islands, kicking waves up to 19 feet high, winds up to 195 miles per hour. Parts of the islands devastated by what will likely go down as the most powerful typhoon in recorded history to make landfall. It was those wild 195-mile-per-hour winds, the chaos causing waves and surge to climb over 20.
We set a record high in Wichita by mid-afternoon. We did it. Whether you like it or not, Wichita shattered the old record from 51 years ago and crashed into the century mark. This is the earliest we've ever officially seen 100 degrees in Wichita since the records have been kept.
Since we've been having so many snowstorms, I'm kind of enjoying the weather.
Pretty odd. It was like 30 degrees last week, you know, now it's about to hit 100.
With 100-degree temperatures and no substantial precipitation, parts of south-central Kansas and the state are now ranked as being in extreme drought. Not good news to farmers, gardeners, or anyone who enjoys a little bit of rain.
Yeah, it's crazy weather out here.
How's this for a kick of the asteroid? Apparently one came so darn close that it could have kicked a lot of life off this planet. It's true. An asteroid from out of nowhere within the interstellar stone's throw of Earth. Closer to the moon, any closer it could have easily whacked our Earth.
You'd need a larger one like we had last year over Chelyabinsk in Russia that would actually do damage. But basically, we're looking for asteroids, we being the world scientists, but we need to be looking more, and particularly these smaller asteroids, these and ones that could do Chelyabinsk or even city-sized damage.
Not the way that people want to be spending their Mother's Day. A tough day ahead for Orange, Missouri, as people are cleaning up after a tornado.
There's a lot of damage here in town. We're talking trees and rooftops everywhere. But many of the people are okay. Many of them describe that moment of seeing the funnel take shape or seeing the tornado off in the distance. They say they were just watching TV or hanging out with their family, and the next thing they knew, they were all rushing to their safe spots.
A strange storm in Missouri. That's a mix of a wildfire and a tornado. A woman Instagrammed this image of a fire-nado. These fire tornadoes can form when intense heat combines with powerful winds.
Pastor there is calling it a case of divine intervention. Good evening, I'm JC Monahan.
And I'm Phil Lipoff. New at 11, more of that amazing video that you just saw and some eyewitness perspective from the pastor himself. Our Liam Martin is live in Saugus tonight. Liam?
Well, Phil, this is where they were blasting rock earlier today. They set loose a 20-ton boulder that came barreling right toward this church. Watch the boulder. That's not good. So close to the church.
Missed it by 1 foot.
Just a few inches separating a quirky story from a disaster.
If it rolled another 12 inches, it would have went right through the building. And this boulder was probably about 20 tons. Everybody around the whole neighborhood and working on the site were under the same kind of agreement that the Lord intervened.
We are tracking some extreme spring weather from coast to coast tonight, but mostly it's a line of weather cutting the country in half from the Great Lakes all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. The threat is now severe flooding with more rain falling in parts of the state of Texas in the last day than they had seen all this year. And record heat is fueling fires once again in California.
By the morning commute, Houston was underwater. Stalled cars and buses littering the roads.
Well, I'm in my SUV. I can't even make it through.
This is the brute power of floodwaters in Ohio, washing away a road outside Cleveland as 3 feet of water poured into this high school. In upstate New York, a state of emergency after creeks flooded the village of Gowanda. In the West, record high temperatures.
But let's get right to the very latest on those roaring wildfires. 7 major ones burning through Southern California this morning, scorching thousands of acres, destroying homes and causing millions of dollars in damage.
The towers of dark smoke, a signal to nervous residents that the battle in San Diego County is not over.
Fire disaster unfolding before our eyes in San Diego, California. This is San Marcos. We're watching our local station there, Fox 5 for San Diego in the region, and this is some tape playback that they're doing of this terrifying fire tornado looking thing that came roaring through that neighborhood. And now these pictures are from earlier as well, as fire after fire after fire dots the landscape in the hills around San Marcos.
The raging fires are a product of months with little rainfall and above normal temperatures.
It's not just here in Southern California, it's statewide, and we haven't seen conditions like this in decades.
Unprecedented number of fires and fire activity across the state, in many cases 2 to 3 months earlier than normal.
A drive through hell, incredible video shot by 2 men from inside a car at the height of the worst fires roaring through Carlsbad, California. Take a look.
Oh my God! This whole valley was just engulfed in flames, smoke, firestorm coming our way. I was on the driver's side and I could feel the heat coming through the passenger side, and that's obviously where he was filming. The heat was just incredible.
It singed the hair on my arms a little bit.
There was only one way out. It was not going back. We have a median on our left, and you obviously saw what was going on our right. The only way we have to get out of this, the line of fire, is to go straight through flames, right through the smoke.
The sound from the flames, to me, it's like a roar of a lion. I mean, it's you wouldn't think fire would make that sound.
I can't believe that, it happened. It's just crazy, so much devastation.
It's not a drought, but just the opposite.
I can't believe this.
When Tuesday's rain,
I've heard 4 to 5 inches,
came through Penn, it cut a path.
There was about 1.5 feet of water running right down the road.
Just around the corner.
How would you describe it? I mean, it used to be a parking lot, now it just looks like a bomb went off over there.
Longtime residents say this is Penn Yan's worst flooding in more than 40 years. Several old-timers tell me they haven't seen anything like it since 1972.
Nope, I'm in my late 30s. I've never seen anything like this in my life.
While there is too much water, storms dropping more than rain on parts of the East Coast, these flooded streets in Maryland today. And do you see this? Look closely. Snow falling in the Chicago area this morning. What is going on? The extreme weather across the nation.
Severe flooding has led to a state of emergency being declared in Austria, Serbia and Bosnia. In Savrake near Sarajevo, this was the devastation a landslide caused, caught on camera by a neighbour. The equivalent of 4 months' rainfall fell in just one day.
Serbia's Prime Minister Aleksandar Vučić said it was the greatest flooding disaster ever.
What is up with all of the fish that are turning up dead in New Jersey? This is down in Belmar. Got thousands and thousands and thousands of dead fish. Why are they dying? Why is this happening?
Unsettling sight in a New Jersey waterway. You're looking right here at thousands of dead fish, some floating, others washed up on the shore.
They were here last night. Big school, huh?
Big school. There's biggest I ever seen.
By morning, though, they were dying in the tens of thousands. These are bunker fish.
They were on top of the water, they were under the water. It was terrible. Never saw anything like it.
It looks like a fish kill of biblical proportion. There's a carpet of dead fish on the bottom of the floor here.
Tests on the water now show acceptable levels of oxygen and a little algae, but they're thinking that Mother Nature really did this, that it wasn't anything that man did.
Washed out roads, stranded cars, and even flooded homes. Those are just some of the problems caused by last night's heavy rains in southern New Mexico.
It's a quick snapshot of Roswell's stormy weather. The most rainfall the city has seen in more than 60 years.
This is one last night, just east of us. This was that was a picture every second.
Daniel Fuller caught part of the storm on his GoPro.
I've lived here about 20 years, and I have never seen flooding like this before.
And this photo shows more flooding in Roswell. The water is up to the doors of those cars.
How long have you all lived here?
Oh, 12 years.
Have you ever seen flooding like this?
Not like this, no.
Southeast Texas is at risk for more flooding this morning after violent storms killed at least one person. Thunderstorms unleashed heavy hail in San Antonio Tuesday. Cars took a beating.
In Houston, a second straight day of drenching rain flooded the downtown area. Winds hit 60 miles an hour. The floodwaters are creating unusual dangers.
The rain pounded St. James Parish for quite some time today, too, causing widespread flooding there.
Caskets from the cemetery on Belrose Lane floating away from their resting places.
The rain started before dawn. Severe storms that dumped a deluge on St. James Parish. Drainage ditches overflowed, streets flooded. But the bigger story is that over 60 homes and businesses have been flooded. There was so much rain it quickly overwhelmed the drainage system. Parish residents, sheriff's deputies, even the parish president all said the same thing. They've never seen anything like this.
From the Dakotas all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico, they are cleaning up after a round of severe weather, tornadoes, hail, and it comes just as we all now brace for something else, the beginning of hurricane season.
Overnight, skies alive from the Canadian border to the Gulf of Mexico. Almost 400 severe weather reports this week that have brought us some stunning images. Hail covering roads as far as the eye can see in North Dakota.
Look at that, dude.
That striking EF2 swirling through that RV park, injuring 9.
We've got some amazing video to show you. A young man who's lucky to be alive. Scott Shepard was in South Dakota taping this thunderstorm, and watch this. Lightning hits him, travels through his arm. That's debris from the pavement that knocks a hole in the ground where he was standing. His phone kept working. He was alive. It disabled the car that was passing by him.
And today, the president at a briefing with FEMA.
As hurricane season begins, we have to remember that responding to a hurricane is a team effort.
Reminding all of us that now is the time to prepare for what NOAA says will be a season with 8 to 13 named storms, 3 to 6 hurricanes, and 1 to 2 major hurricanes.
Indonesia's Mount Sanyang volcano has begun to erupt, with huge ash clouds rising 3,000 meters into the air and being pushed eastwards. It has left thousands of air passengers in nearby Australia stranded, with ash meaning the majority of flights in and out of Darwin Airport have had to be cancelled.
Huge sinkhole swallows a car in Evansville, Indiana, but the driver and his 3 passengers were not hurt. The group had stopped at a stop sign Friday afternoon when the driver says the car began to feel strange and started to sink. All 4 climbed to safety before the car's front end sank into a hole. Police say the hole is 12 feet wide and 16 feet deep, caused by a failed water main and sewer line.
Geologists are on the scene of a metastasizing sinkhole in Florida right near the famous Legoland theme park. This thing is threatening to swallow up an entire parking lot, and the big question is how to stop it.
Check out this 85-foot long, 18-foot deep crater that's getting bigger by the minute in a parking lot just across the street from Florida's Legoland theme park. This growing cavity is just 40 miles from the 2013 sinkhole that opened up beneath Jeff Bush's bed. A few months later, experts believe a sinkhole was behind this collapse of a Central Florida vacation resort near Disney World.
There's a large sinkhole opening up in Alachua County. GTN's Haley Holloway is live in Jonesville on the scene.
Right now, this one is 40% bigger than it was just this morning, and he says it's only going to get bigger from here.
You can see the biggest of the sinkholes is right behind me beside this retention pond. Another one is beside it in the water. People who work in this area tell me both of these have been on the property for about a month and have been growing in size. Nearby employees tell us another sinkhole on the property opened up just this weekend.
Meteorologists were confused, so they called in the radar professionals who were equally baffled. What was that green blob drifting over Albuquerque, New Mexico?
We actually thought that the radar was broke. So we had our technicians go out there a couple times. They couldn't find anything wrong, so we had to call the National Radar Depot in Oklahoma.
Well, the experts in Oklahoma answered with a question. They want to know if Albuquerque has an insect problem. And as it turns out, they do. That green patch was radar spotting thousands of grasshoppers flying 1,000 feet high, well above the town's tallest buildings. And all adds up to the city's worst infestation in 20 years. The cause? A winter drought.
Millions in the plains and Midwest face the threat of tornadoes and thunderstorms again this morning.
Millions of Americans on alert this evening, right into tomorrow, and here's what it looks like on the ground. One driver on a treacherous highway capturing the lightning in Missouri. That same storm system now marching east.
Tonight, a second blast of severe storms marching across the Ohio and Tennessee valleys and western plains, packing baseball-sized, windshield-busting hail.
Overnight, heavy rains and strong winds pummeled central Nebraska as a massive storm tore through the region. In Omaha, several homes were flooded, forcing people to seek emergency shelters.
We're going to be out all night. We'll be out monitoring. We're working with emergency management personnel and the National Weather Service.
A powerful mix of 90-mile-an-hour wind, the system caused widespread damage across the state. It shattered car windows, tore the roofs off buildings, and even overturned this truck. The Woodhouse Auto dealership said the storm damaged nearly 4,500 of their cars.
There's the Pavlov volcano erupting in Alaska. Take a look. That is a huge cloud of ash and steam, all of it shooting up some 24,000 feet above sea level. You can see the cloud there up above the volcano. That can be really troublesome for some of the jets flying overhead. If there is an eruption this big, this powerful, they have to send those jets somewhere else.
Wow. Quite some images there.
Hundreds of dead fish washing up along the shores of a Logan County lake. Now visitors are wondering if something's wrong and what this means for the summer season.
A fish in water. It's not an unusual sight.
At the lake here, we have some excellent fishing.
Floating lifelessly, however, that is a bit unusual. And not just one or two. We're talking hundreds of white bass.
I've never seen this many fish before.
John Bodie has lived on Indian Lake for 35 years. Sometime last week, he noticed a number of fish out of water, lying on the dock behind his house.
This is unusual.
The sky fills with sand, forming a gigantic cloud which blocks the sun. The city below is plunged into darkness. The temperature drops by 15 degrees. It's hard to see through the thick dust. This amateur video sent to the BBC shows chaos on the roads. 20 cars were involved in one accident alone.
Torrential downpours in southwest China's Guizhou province have hit more than 59 counties and affected 200,000 local residents. The storms have also killed 4 people and left 2 others missing. 2 days of continuous rain have resulted in multiple floods and landslides, affecting 14 cities. The heavy rain has also forced local schools and hospitals to shut down.
所以今天科学家劝导大众，人不可以有不善的念头。为什么呢？不善的念头会造成自己身心不健康。还会造成呢我们居住环境呢很多灾难。都是心心不健康所引起来的。你说大乘经里告诉我们，我们的心呢有贪嗔痴慢疑。
这个在佛法称为五毒啊，很不善的念头贪的念头会引发水灾地球上海水上升了，江河泛滥了海啸了，这些东西都是贪心引发的嗔恚引发的是火灾，人一发脾气，满身的发热所以嗔恚带来的灾难是火灾，火山爆发地球温度上升，这从发脾气来的愚痴所感的是风灾飓风、龙卷风愚痴傲慢所感的是地震怀疑就更麻烦，怀疑对自己来讲免疫系统瓦解了就是你身体没有抵抗力细菌很容易侵入很容易感染疾病环境呢会带来山崩地陷，山会倒下来，地会突然陷下去，贪嗔痴慢疑没有自然灾害自然是美好的，自然怎么会有灾害灾害是不善的念头、不善的行为造成的，那这个很可怕所以中国古圣先贤、诸佛菩萨都教我们断恶修善断什么恶呢？把贪嗔痴慢疑断掉人真正能做到不贪、不痴、不嗔不傲慢、不怀疑，这些灾难全都没有了我们身体有些疾病呢也都没有了这是不能不知道的佛教的我们的真干我们不干呢那就错了能够把这个念头改过来，这叫真修行修什么东西？断一切恶，修一切善用中国的伦常来讲，不杀生，这就是仁；不偷盗，这是义；不邪淫，这是礼；不愚痴，这是智慧；不妄语，这是信用。中国人要求人至少要把这5个字做到， 仁义礼智信那么这5个字恰好就是佛门的无戒不杀生是仁，不偷盗是义，跟无戒完全相应世出世间圣人教我们要做好人要行好事利益众生的事情佛菩萨应化在世间，就是专门做好事帮助众生离苦得乐他知道苦乐是从哪里来的，所有一切苦是从迷惑来的。你对事实真相不了解，你看错了，想错了，做错了带来的灾难带来的苦痛